The microphone hums with feedback as I adjust it, the kind of nervous sound that already makes my stomach knot. The student lounge is packed tonight, half the English department, a few curious faces from journalism, even some philosophy majors scattered in the back with their notebooks. Open mic night. A place to share words, lyrics, fragments of thought. For me, it's supposed to be a chance to finally say something, maybe even slip a piece of my heart between the lines I've scribbled. Lila Hart sits near the front. Always near the front. She gives me a smile I've known since we were kids chasing each other through her backyard sprinklers. Except this smile feels rehearsed, too bright, like she's holding something back. I clutch my notebook tighter. I'm ready to start reading when she stands. Right there, in front of everyone. My chest goes cold before I even hear her voice. "Noah," she says, loud enough to hush the room. I need to say this now. Every eye shifts from me to her. My hands tighten around the microphone stand. "We've been friends forever," she continues, "and I thought maybe it could be more. But it isn't. I can't keep pretending, Noah. I need to end this before it hurts us both more than it already has." Her words land like stones against glass, each syllable splintering the image I've carried of us. And this? I never even asked her to announce what was happening between us. We weren't official. It was a fragile, unspoken thing, my late night walks to her dorm, her laughter soft against the campus lights, the way she'd reach for my hand and then pull away just before anyone noticed. Whispers ripple through the lounge. A chair scrapes. I swear I hear someone mutter, "Brutal." And then I see him. Adrian Cole, leaning against the back wall, arms crossed, smirking like he orchestrated this entire scene. Adrian, the golden boy. Perfect grades, perfect jawline, and apparently, the perfect timing. Lila glances at him, just for a heartbeat, but it's enough. The betrayal slices deeper than the public humiliation. She isn't just rejecting me, she's aligning herself with him. I clear my throat, but the words I plan to read blur together. I can't recite my poem now, not with my heart crushed under her confession. My voice cracks as I speak into the mic, not the words I wrote but the only truth I can manage. "Thanks for making it clear, Lila." My notebook closes with a dull thud. I step down from the stage, heat crawling up my neck as the crowd parts for me. Every gaze feels like a spotlight, burning, dissecting. I don't stop walking until I'm outside, the night air sharp against my lungs. The sound of laughter spills from the open windows, hers, maybe his, maybe both. I press my hands into my pockets and keep moving, away from the campus lights, away from everything familiar. Right there, under the buzzing street lamp at the edge of the quad, I make myself a promise. If she wants me gone from her life, she'll get her wish. I'll vanish from her world completely. And when I do, she'll never find the pieces of me again. Sleep doesn't come easy after nights like that. I lay awake in the thin light that seeps through the blinds of my dorm, staring at the ceiling, replaying every word, every glance, every sound of muffled laughter that followed me out of the lounge. It drags me backward, back to when things were simple. Lila and I hunched over math homework at her kitchen table, the faint hum of her mom's radio in the background. The way she'd nudge me with her elbow whenever she caught me doodling in the margins instead of solving equations. "Noah, focus," she'd laugh, and I'd pretend to listen. But the truth is, I was already writing, always writing. Small stories about superheroes, pirates, or the odd kid no one noticed who turned out to be extraordinary. We grew up with the same cracked sidewalks, the same after-school ice creams, the same inside jokes no one else could follow. I thought that meant we were bound together somehow, like two threads knotted tight. But threads can fray. I still remember the night my mom gave me her journal, the pages swollen with her handwriting, ink faded but strong. She was already weak then, her smile dimmer than I wanted to admit. "Keep this close," she told me. "Fill it, finish what I couldn't." When she was gone, that journal became my anchor. Every page I filled felt like a step toward keeping her alive, word by word, story by story. Lila was there, back then. She'd sit on my floor while I scribbled in silence, flipping through magazines or humming to herself. Sometimes she'd glance at me and ask, "Why do you care so much about writing?" I'd shrug, too scared to let her see how sacred it was. Too scared she wouldn't understand. And maybe she never did. I thought she shared the dream, at least in pieces. I thought when she clapped for me at open mics or asked to read my drafts, she was cheering us both forward. But looking back, her applause was always half-hearted, her comments polite but detached. She never carried the same fire. Her dream was different, center stage, spotlight sharp, a life where people turned toward her first. Mine was quieter, pages and ink, the rhythm of keys tapping in an empty room, the possibility that my words could outlive me. Last night's public fracture makes it plain. We were never chasing the same horizon. She was walking toward Adrian, toward recognition, toward being seen. I was walking toward my mother's promise, my own stubborn shadow. Maybe the mistake was thinking our paths ran parallel at all. I flip open the journal now, its worn spine creaking like an old friend stretching awake. The first blank page stares at me, daring me to keep moving forward. My pen hovers, heavy with everything unsaid. I don't write about Lila. Not tonight. Not anymore. Instead, I write about a boy who disappears from the world that hurt him, only to find another one waiting, made of ink and silence, where no one can take away the truth. And for the first time since the stage shattered beneath me, I feel steady. The library is my refuge. Or at least, it used to be. The smell of old paper and ink, the steady scratch of pens, the muffled footsteps across polished floors, it's the only place on campus where silence feels alive. I come here to write, to bury myself in words where no one else can reach me. Today, though, silence betrays me. I spot them as soon as I step between the rows of tables, Lila and Adrian, sitting together near the big window where the late afternoon light spills across the wood. She's leaning toward him, her hair catching the sun like it always did when we studied together. He's grinning, flashing that easy charm I've despised since the first day he breezed into our literature seminar and made everyone laugh with some half-witty remark. I freeze. My first instinct is to turn back, but pride pins me in place. Running would make me smaller. So I walk past, notebook under my arm, every step measured. Adrian sees me before she does. His smirk sharpens, as if he's been waiting for this exact moment. "Clark," he says, voice low but cutting across the quiet like a blade. "Didn't expect to see you here. Guess the stage was too much pressure, huh?" Lila shifts in her seat. She knows it's cruel, I can tell, but she doesn't stop him. She just stares at the edge of her notebook, pretending to be fascinated by the way her pen rolls between her fingers. My chest burns, but I don't give him the satisfaction of answering. I keep moving until I find a desk near the back, away from them, away from the glow of their alliance. I set my journal down, flip it open, and let the pen find its rhythm. Words pour out, jagged but alive, forming a wall between me and the scene across the room. I don't need to hear his laughter or see the way she tilts her head toward him. I don't need to watch him flaunt what he thinks he's won. Every word I write is a refusal, an act of silence louder than anything I could say. For a moment, the sting eases. My pen scratches out lines about shadows and masks, about people who perform for the crowd while others carve their truths in secret. The ink doesn't judge me, doesn't humiliate me, doesn't betray me. It stays. But when I look up, just once, I catch Lila's eyes. She flinches, as if she wasn't expecting me to look back. There's guilt there, brief, sharp, but she drops her gaze before I can decide if it's real. Adrian leans closer to her, whispering something that makes her laugh. Loud enough for me to hear. Loud enough for everyone to hear. I clench my pen so tightly the cap nearly cracks. But I don't say a word. Silence is my armor now. Words are for the page, not for them. If vanishing means she'll never know what I could have said, then so be it. Parties aren't my scene. Never have been. But when Marcus, one of those friends you can't quite say no to, invited me to his birthday party, I convinced myself it would be harmless. Just a few people, some music, maybe an excuse to step outside of my own head for a night. I was wrong. The second I walk through the apartment door, I hear her laugh. Lila's laugh, bright, familiar, piercing. It cuts through the chatter and the thrum of bass like a thread pulling me back against my will. She's in the kitchen, perched on the counter with a plastic cup in hand, Adrian standing too close beside her. He leans in like the space around her belongs to him, and she lets him. I stand frozen in the doorway, part of me wanting to turn around and vanish before anyone notices I was ever here. But Marcus spots me. "Noah. You came, man." He slings an arm around my shoulder and pulls me deeper inside, blind to the way my chest tightens. The night drags in fragments. Too loud music, sticky floors, laughter that feels rehearsed. Every time I glance up, Lila is there, laughing at Adrian's jokes, brushing his arm, tilting her head in that way she used to tilt it toward me. At one point our eyes lock across the room. Just a flicker. Her smile falters, replaced by something softer, heavier. Guilt, maybe. Regret. But Adrian leans in and whispers something, and she looks away. That's the moment it hits me like a punch. I don't belong here. Not in this room, not in their orbit, not in her world anymore. I slip into the hallway, the music muffled behind me, and pull out my phone. Her name stares at me from my contacts, Lila Hart. How many nights did I scroll to that name, debating whether to call? How many drafts of unsent messages did I let pile up, just to delete them later? My thumb hovers, but I don't hesitate. Delete contact. Next, the group chats, our shared circles, inside jokes stacked in endless threads. I scroll, I select, I leave. One by one, the ties snap. Notifications ping briefly, then fall silent. It feels surgical. Precise. Necessary. By the time I put my phone back in my pocket, the knot in my chest loosens just enough for me to breathe. I don't say goodbye to anyone. I won't go back to the party. I walk out into the night, the cool air wrapping around me like armor. This is how it begins, the vanishing. No grand announcements, no dramatic speeches. Just silence. Just absence. Let them laugh together. Let them pretend I was never part of it. I'll be gone before they even realize the space I leave behind. The student showcase is supposed to be a celebration of talent, poetry, short films, music, photography. Creativity spilling out of every corner of the campus. Normally, I'd lose myself in it. But tonight, it feels like a stage built to remind me of everything I've lost. I sit in the middle row, notebook balanced on my knee, trying to disappear among the crowd. My plan is simple: watch, maybe scribble down some thoughts, slip out before the night is over. But then they walk in. Lila and Adrian, hand in hand. She's radiant under the soft auditorium lights, hair brushed perfectly, eyes bright with the thrill of being seen. Adrian wears his usual confident smirk, the kind that makes him look like he already owns the room. Together, they radiate something sharp, like a performance designed to cut me open. I bow my head, staring at the empty page in front of me, but the whispers find me anyway. Guess she traded up, someone murmurs 2 rows behind me. Adrian Cole over Noah Clark. Yeah, that makes sense, another voice adds with a snicker. My throat burns. The pen in my hand digs so deep into the paper that the tip threatens to tear it. Every instinct screams at me to turn, to defend myself, to remind them of everything Lila and I shared before Adrian ever appeared. To prove that I wasn't just some placeholder in her story. But I don't. I keep my head down, and I write. The words spill out raw, jagged, unpolished. I write about glass breaking in slow motion, about being erased while still standing in the room, about the cruelty of applause that drowns out a quieter voice. Each line feels like a wound pressed to the page, bleeding safely where no one else can touch it. Lila laughs at something Adrian whispers into her ear, and the sound cuts through me like a knife. I write harder, faster, until the page is filled with frantic ink, black veins twisting across white paper. The showcase continues. Applause rises, music plays, voices echo, but I don't hear any of it. My world is reduced to pen, paper, and the silence I build inside myself. I don't need to fight whispers. I don't need to explain myself to anyone in that room. I'll make my case on the page, in words sharp enough to outlast their laughter. Someday, maybe, they'll read it. And maybe then they'll understand. But tonight, I let the whispers pass over me like smoke, and I keep writing, invisible in the middle of the crowd. The clock on my desk glows at 1:37 a.m. My dorm room is quiet except for the faint hum of the radiator. I should be asleep, but instead I'm hunched over my journal, scribbling lines I'll probably cross out in the morning. Words have been my only company lately, and even they feel restless tonight. Then my phone buzzes. I glance at the screen. Her name. Lila Hart. For a moment, my chest seizes. My thumb hovers over the decline button, but something heavier drags me into answering. I hold the phone to my ear, bracing myself. Her voice is soft, almost hesitant. Noah. You're still awake. I don't answer right away. Silence feels safer. She exhales, shaky. I know things are different now. But you don't have to vanish from my life. We can still be friends. I don't want to lose you completely. Her words scrape at the edges of me, pulling up memories I've tried to bury. The nights we studied side by side, the way she'd laugh until she cried at my worst jokes, the quiet comfort of knowing she was always there. But then another memory cuts sharper, the sound of her voice in that lounge, breaking me open in front of everyone. The way Adrian's smirk spread behind her, claiming victory as if she'd handed it to him. My voice comes out lower, harder than I expect. Friends don't humiliate each other on stage, Lila. There's a pause. I imagine her biting her lip the way she does when she doesn't have an answer. I didn't mean to hurt you like that, she whispers. I didn't know how else to say it. I clench my fist around the pen still in my hand. The ink has smudged across my fingers. Then maybe you should have said nothing. You could have spared me the show. Her breath catches. She wants to argue, I can tell, but the words never come. I don't give her the chance. If disappearing is what it takes to survive this, then that's what I'll do. The silence between us stretches thin, taut, until it snaps with the flat tone of the call ending. I drop the phone onto my desk, chest heavy, throat tight. For a long time, I just sit there, staring at the journal, at the unfinished lines bleeding across the page. The call burns in my ears, but the decision hardens in my chest. I'm not going back. Not to her, not to the past. If vanishing is what I promised, then tonight, I seal it. I don't go looking for them anymore. That's the promise I made myself. But sometimes, their faces still find me. It happens on a Wednesday morning, bleary-eyed in the campus cafe, scrolling through my phone while waiting for coffee. A headline splashes across the student board's social media page. Hart and Cole lead panel on student debate, shaping the future of academic discourse. There they are. Lila and Adrian, side by side, smiling like the world belongs to them. Her arm brushing his sleeve, his grin smug enough to seep through the screen. I almost dropped the phone. It isn't just a casual post, it's official, public, endorsed. Their names printed together in bold, as if they were always meant to share the spotlight. My stomach twists. Not because she's moved on, I expected that, but because she's letting everyone else see it. Parading it. Cementing it in campus memory as if we never existed. Around me, I hear whispers. A couple of students at the next table point at the same post on their laptop. Adrian and Lila. Power team, one says. Way better match than Noah and her ever were, the other replies with a laugh. The words sting less like a cut and more like salt ground into an open wound. I shove my phone into my pocket and leave without waiting for my coffee. My legs carry me fast across campus, past the library, past the lounge where it all broke, until I'm back in my dorm room, door slammed shut against the world. There's a shoebox under my bed I haven't opened in months. Old photos, ticket stubs, folded scraps of notes she passed me during class years ago. Relics of a friendship I thought were unshakable. I dig through until I find it, one photo of us from high school, standing under the summer carnival lights, her arm hooked through mine. I look stupidly happy. We both do. My chest tightens as I hold it. For a second, I almost slipped it back into the box. Almost let it survive as proof that once, things were different. But then I see that post again in my mind, her leaning toward Adrian, the public smile, the whispers that followed. I grab my lighter from the desk drawer. The flame catches easy, curling the edges of the photo into black. Her face blurs, mine collapses into ash, and soon the memory is nothing but smoke rising toward the ceiling. I watch until it's gone, until there's nothing left but the faint smell of something burned. This is the proof I needed, not of them, but of me. If I was wavering before, I'm not anymore. I won't fight for a place in her world. I'll vanish from it completely. The workshops are held in the back room of a cramped bookstore off campus, the kind of place where dust clings to the shelves and the smell of paper seeps into your clothes. 10 of us sit in a circle, notebooks open, voices low. No one here knows me as the guy who got dumped on stage. To them, I'm just Noah Clark, another writer bleeding ink onto the page. It's freedom. I read pieces aloud, raw fragments about silence, about vanishing, about shadows that swallow the light. My voice shakes at first, but the room listens. No laughter. No whispers. Just the steady weight of attention, people nodding as if they understand. For the first time in weeks, I feel seen without being judged. The words spill easier at night now. My heartbreak becomes fuel, my humiliation a spine for characters who walk away from everything that tried to break them. I pour myself out, and the pages catch every drop. But outside of that bookstore bubble, the world still waits. I'm leaving class one afternoon when Adrian blocks my path. He leans casually against the wall, arms crossed, grin sharp enough to cut. Well, if it isn't Clark, he says, eyes glinting. Haven't seen you around Lila lately. Guess you finally got the message. I keep walking, but he steps in front of me, forcing me to stop. You know, he continues, lowering his voice, you should be grateful. She spared you the embarrassment of dragging things out. Some guys don't know when to let go. My jaw tightens. The old me would have snapped, thrown his words back, maybe even swung at him. But now I feel nothing. Just a hollow space where his smugness echoes without landing. I meet his eyes, steady. You don't matter, Adrian. For the first time, his smirk falters. I step around him and keep walking, leaving his presence like smoke dissipating behind me. My silence isn't a weakness anymore. It's control. It's armor. By the time I'm back in my dorm, I'm already scribbling the scene into my notebook, only this time, it's not Adrian standing there. It's a faceless figure, arrogant and loud, silenced not by fists or shouts, but by the power of being ignored. The pen digs deep into the page, each stroke a refusal to let his voice stick. Let them laugh, let them gloat. My words will outlast their noise. And with every page I fill, I disappear further from their world, and deeper into my own. The bookstore's back room feels different tonight. Maybe it's me, lighter somehow, though the ache is still there, quieter but steady, like a bruise fading under skin. The circle is smaller this week, only 6 of us. One new face. She introduces herself with a smile that doesn't feel rehearsed. Emily Vargas. An aspiring poet, soft-voiced but sharp-eyed, carrying a leather notebook that looks older than she is. When it's my turn, I read a piece about vanishing. About walking into silence and letting it swallow you whole until the world forgets your name. My voice stumbles in the middle, but I push through. When I finish, the room is quiet for a beat before the usual nods and murmurs of approval ripple around. Then Emily leans forward. I like how you used absence as a character, she says. But it doesn't feel like you disappeared. It feels like you're still standing there, daring someone to notice you. That tension, it's powerful. Her words stop me cold. No one's ever said it like that before. Most people just pat me on the back and say, nice work, man. But she actually saw something inside it, something I didn't even realize I'd put there. After the workshop, she walks with me toward the train station. We talk about words, not people. About Neruda's love poems, about how Baldwin's essays feel like fire trapped in paragraphs. She doesn't ask me about Lila, doesn't pry into wounds she doesn't need to touch. Instead, she asks, what are you writing toward? A collection? A novel? The question lodges in my chest. For so long, I've been writing to survive. To bleed. To keep my mother's journal alive. But hearing it framed as toward something shifts the ground under my feet. A novel, I say finally, the word tasting new and electric. Something that lasts. Her smile is small but sure. Then write it. And don't let anyone pull you off course. Simple words. But they carry more weight than any of Lila's hollow claps ever did. As I head back to my dorm, I catch my reflection in the train window. Same face, same tired eyes, but something's different. A shadow has lifted, just enough for me to see myself not as the boy Lila discarded, but as someone becoming, writer, builder of words, survivor of silence. It's not about her anymore. It's about me. The lecture hall smells like old paper and burnt coffee. Rows of folding chairs squeak under shifting students, professors, and locals here for the campus literary festival. My name is printed on the program, slotted between a visiting poet and some graduate student essayist. I grip my manuscript tighter than I need to. The words are mine, but the stage still makes me feel like I'm borrowing air. Emily squeezes my shoulder as I step toward the podium. You've got this, she whispers. The lights are brighter than I expect, bleaching the faces into a blur. My pulse steadies as I place my pages down. I draw in a breath, ready. And then I see her. Lila. 3rd row, slightly off-center, hair tucked behind her ear like she used to do when she was nervous before a test. She isn't alone. Adrian leans beside her, casual confidence draped across his posture. For a split second, my throat locks. The memory of her voice, the sting of that breakup under the stage lights, surges like acid. But then I realized something. I don't owe her anything. Not this moment. Not these words. I begin to read. The piece isn't subtle. It's about silence as resistance, about carving your own absence until it becomes a weapon, not a wound. My voice doesn't tremble. It sharpens, grows steadier with each line. I don't look at her. Not once. When the last word lands, the room exhales into applause. Not polite claps, real, full-bodied appreciation. I bow my head, collect my pages, and glance up just once. Her eyes are locked on me, unsettled. Not with triumph. Not with pity. With something closer to confusion. Because for the first time, I'm not reaching for her. I step off the stage, heart still hammering but light in a way I haven't felt in months. Emily meets me near the back, her grin wide, her notebook pressed against her chest. "You killed it," she says. And for the first time, I believe her. Behind us, applause fades. Lila lingers in the crowd, but I don't wait for her. I walk out with Emily, my manuscript under my arm like a shield, my silence sharper than any confrontation I could give. She wanted me broken. Instead, I walked away whole. The inbox notification pings at 1:14 a.m. I almost ignore it. I've been buried in revisions, every sentence bent and reshaped until it feels like mine again. But the subject line freezes me. Lila Hart. For a full minute, I just stare. Then, against my better judgment, I open it. Her words spill onto the screen, scattered like they were typed in a rush. "Why did you erase me like that? Why can't we just, still be us? I miss you, Noah. You don't have to shut me out completely." My chest tightens, but not in the way it used to. The old ache doesn't return, instead, there's a steady clarity. She misses the idea of me, not the person I've become. I sit back, fingers hovering over the keyboard. The cursor blinks, patient. I don't owe her a reply, yet the silence in my head shapes itself into words. I type. Because I had to survive. You don't humiliate someone in front of a crowd and then expect them to pretend it didn't happen. Erasing you wasn't cruelty, it was survival. My finger lingers over the send button, then I click it. No hesitation. When I shut the laptop, I realize the tremor in my hands isn't from fear, it's from release. For once, I didn't swallow the truth. The manuscript draft lies open on my desk, marked in red and blue. Deadline in 3 weeks. I touch the spine of my mother's journal, resting where I always keep it, and remind myself what matters. Her handwriting, her half-finished stories, are why I started. Why can't I stop? Lila wanted an explanation. I gave her one. Now she's a closed chapter. The only voice I'll answer now is my own. The Tuesday night workshop feels different now. Not like an escape, but like home. The circle of folding chairs, the scratch of pens, the quiet murmur before the session begins, it's all routine, but for me, it's sanctuary. Professor Harrington leans forward as I read aloud, his glasses sliding to the tip of his nose. That passage, about the train station, there's restraint there. Pain woven in silence. That's maturity, Noah. You're finding your voice. His words land heavier than any applause I've ever received. For years, I thought my worth depended on being seen through Lila's eyes. Tonight, I realize I only need to see myself clearly. When the session ends, Emily sidles up beside me, her notebook hugged to her chest. "Your imagery is sharp tonight. You've stopped writing for revenge," she says softly. "You're writing for you." Her observation disarms me. She's right. The anger has cooled into something steadier, something truer. We walk out together under the halo of campus lamplight. Her laugh is quiet, but it doesn't scrape at old wounds the way Lila's used to. It doesn't demand anything from me, it just exists, warm and simple. For the first time, I don't compare. At my desk later, I notice how empty the space feels without Lila's ghost. Not haunting, not heavy, just open, waiting to be filled with my own words, my own people. The contacts I deleted, the groups I left, the silence I built, it wasn't destruction. It was construction. Brick by brick, I've been building my own circle, one that doesn't collapse under betrayal. And tonight, I believe it, I belong here. She waits for me outside the library. Same steps where we used to sit with coffee cups and talk about exams, about futures. For a moment, I almost saw us there again, before everything splintered. Then she looks up, and it's just her. Lila. Her eyes are red, her voice unsteady. "Adrian isn't who I thought he was." The words hang between us, heavy but hollow. Once, they would have cracked me open. Now, they're just, late. I shift my bag higher on my shoulder. People show themselves eventually. She bites her lip, searching my face for something. Sympathy, rescue, maybe even the old version of me who would have rushed to catch her when she fell. But Noah is buried beneath drafts and ink, silence and distance. "Why did you cut me off so completely?" she asks, voice breaking. I breathe slowly, steady. Because I had to survive. Her eyes widen, as if the truth stings sharper than any insult. She reaches a hand out like she might touch my arm, like muscle memory hasn't yet caught up with reality. I step back. I don't live in your world anymore, Lila. There's no malice in it. Just a fact. My voice is calm, the kind of calm you earn after bleeding out the storm. She falters, her hand dropping, her mouth parting as if to argue, but no words come. The silence between us is final. I turn and walk away, my footsteps echoing down the stone path. For once, I don't look back. Whatever choices she makes now, they're hers alone. I've already made mine. The book is real. My name is on the cover, black letters pressed into matte cream. Noah Clark, between shadows and silence. I run my thumb over the dedication page, the words I agonized over until they were stripped to their bones. For Mom, who taught me that words can outlive us. The campus bookstore smells of paper and coffee. My book sits propped up in the display beside journals, anthologies, names I once admired from a distance. Now mine is there, too. Not louder, not brighter, but mine. I think of the nights I almost gave up. The ink-stained hands, the empty rooms, the silence that sometimes felt like it would suffocate me. But silence was what I needed to build something of my own. As I step outside, the spring air sharp in my lungs, I hear laughter. Lila and Adrian are across the street, arms linked, faces strained with the effort of pretending happiness. For a second, her eyes catch mine. They widen, like she's remembering the boy who once orbited her world, who once would have dropped everything to chase her smile. But that boy is gone. I won't stop. I don't slow. I walk past them with the same steady stride I've learned to trust in myself. Her voice doesn't call my name. His smirk doesn't touch me. They're just two figures blurred into the crowd, background noise in a city humming with its own pulse. Inside me, there's no bitterness. Only the quiet weight of something stronger. I vanished from her world, but I built my own. And in this world, I am untouchable.